I'll set the timer for 12 minutes. We'll see.
Oh,
So we'll have to be super. We'll have to cover tons of subjects super fast. I'll set the timer for 12 minutes. We'll see.
oh,
So we'll have to be super. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we are on. We are on. We are going.
snowy day.
Yes, yes. Snowy day. Here, the sun is one of the things that's nice about Denver, and this is like the Chamber of Commerce or whatever. They say, come to Denver because we have over 300 days of sunshine every year. And so it'll snow and then, boom, it's sunny the next day. And that's what it's like right now.
It is in Michigan. It's I think it's the same. I remember when we moved here, the first day one day we experienced the four seasons the same day.
Yeah.
And yes, I couldn't believe it. We had a lot of snow, and then in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we had like almost like summer, really not even spring. Beautiful. It was warm. The whole snow had, was melted or sorted. I don't know how you say that. And I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, Michigan is kind of the same. The weather is great, but our winters are really cold. Yes, they're cold and they last. Winter lasts here.
Yeah, and you have the lake effect there.
We have effects, yeah.
Which is something that we don't have here, but I remember when I lived in Salt Lake City, we had that too.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, so a cold front comes in and comes over a large body of water, and then you're guaranteed a lot more snow.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Is there a person with whom it's difficult for you to have a conversation?
What does that mean?
What
does difficult mean?
Like I'm asking this question, very interested in knowing. I have a wonderful relationship with everyone, but there is one person that I consistently hit a wall when I'm trying to talk to him. He's a friend and business partner, which makes it hard. And what the coaching has really helped me do is to see my responsibility in every relational issue.
Yes. Yeah.
So when something is going wrong, it's not about the person. It's about you, about me.
Yeah. It's always about us, right?
It's always about us. Meaning even if I think some people will say, even if you're responsible for just 5%, you're still responsible because you're still answering. Yes. But for some, so I was curious to know if there is a particular person that will
like
trigger
somebody, like if you want me to name a specific person or a specific kind of person or a specific situation.
Maybe a specific person. Is there a person who triggers you more, or is there a person with whom you're so different, you see life in such opposite ways, or that you are unable actually to have a conversation without feeling some kind of dissatisfaction from both parts?
Yeah. I don't know. You want me to name a specific the first person that came to mind? I won't mention names.
No, don't name anybody, because it will be like, no, we love it. We don't want to be.
Yeah. So this was a long time ago. He's a colleague of mine when I was in graduate school, and from my conversations with him, he was very very conservative, Christian, and there's a lot of that community in Denver, especially, and in Colorado Springs, where he was from. There's a lot of community who were very conservative. And the way I characterized it with my other colleagues was, when you mention Rush, there are two kinds of people in the world. There's the person who thinks, first of all, the Canadian progressive rock band, and then there's the person who thinks of the conservative radio commentator, like Rush Limbaugh, as opposed to Rush the rock band. And so that was hard. That was hard for me. I think first of all, because at that time I had some resistance to, because coming out of the Mormon church, and I didn't want to be associated with that kind of lifestyle, whoever that was. So they're very, they pray over everything and all this stuff. And so there's some resistance on my part, but also it was hard for me because I couldn't make a comment without, I couldn't say, well, this is just like living in the limelight, or something like that without him, understand. He wouldn't understand it because he didn't have the same frame of reference that I did, I guess. So that's one person that I remember. It was kind of hard.
That's a nice, I think, distinction, because it really depends on where the other person is coming from. Yeah. Because you're not looking at the same things when generally talking. Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense. It does make sense. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the philosophy I strive to live by now is, if you could sum it up in a pithy kind of, seek first to understand.
Yes,
and then to be understood, right? So it shouldn't, at that point, I wouldn't want it. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't make it all about, well, God, this guy, he has a totally different point of view than me. I would try to understand where his point of view was. Yeah.
I think it's important to understand the other person's point of view anyway. Yeah. That's how communication happens. But I think there is a problem when we try to convince, and maybe that's where I am thinking, where the issue is. It's not agreeing to disagree, but wanting to make a point. And my has recently been to not to make a point, but just try to understand, to accept, to disagree. Yeah. And the person that I have a very hard time communicating with, my understanding of him is that he always wants to make a point. And maybe that's what doesn't work well with me. The fact that I don't have to, there is just not one way. We're all coming from a different experiences, different background. And so I struggle between keeping an open dialogue and also just stopping it because we're going nowhere. If you don't have the same foundation, if you don't have the same basis of listen, you are not trying to make a point. You can make yourself understood, and then yes, I hear you, but allow me not to agree with you.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where I'm coming from. Anyway, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I had an appointment with someone. Today is also one of those days. It's been 3 days of consenting. So I had an appointment with him at 11:30. No, I was finishing a call at 11 and he was finishing a call at 11:30. So we said, yes, we're going to talk from 11:45 my time to 12:30. Because at 1 I have another coaching call. And we were supposed to meet because we had an important meeting that we wanted to prepare on Monday.
Yeah.
But just right before I went into my first call, we got notified that our meeting on Monday is postponed to Thursday. So I contacted, my partner, and I said, okay, since the meeting is postponed, how about we just meet on Monday at the initial meeting time, and then instead of you and I rushing to meet right now, we'll just meet on Monday and get ready for Thursday. And so that would allow me, I'm not sure I mentioned that, but meeting, because I was so rushed, I just, because there is no urgency.
So you would say, well, that would allow me to be less frazzled than I am today?
Yeah, but he didn't get the message because he was in a meeting. And then when he got it, he still tried to contact me, but I was already doing something else because I had just reorganized my schedule. Yeah. And I wasn't very happy about it. And so there is this communication going on between, and then I didn't go further in the communication. I just said, you know what, let's just focus on our common task, and then let's connect on Monday, because I think we're just going to go in a circle, we're just going to go in a circle. But I think it's important, it's interesting just to see where we're coming from, and we're not hearing one another well. And it's good for me. It's always an opportunity for growth, because we have a common goal, so we focus on the common goal.
That is, I spent a lot of my marriage trying to make sure that my point was, it's like, you're not getting my point, and
so you wanted to make a
because I was convinced that I was right, and because I was right, that was the way.
But what do you think about if you had to do it today? How would you do? If you're say you're in another relationship, will you still try to make your point, or we just make sure that you've expressed it, and whether the person agrees or not?
I would just want to express it, but not convince them.
Yeah, not push. I think that's where people get, and I think that's just a natural. It doesn't mean we have to remain that way. I think it's just a natural human response to want others.
We want to be right.
We want to be right. And I think we should surrender. I think we should surrender that need or desire to be right. I've surrendered my right to be right. I'm very respectful of what other people think right now. Whether I agree or not, you will allow me to disagree, and I want you to allow me to disagree. Don't try to.
Where that, for me, a lot of that, if you want to go back to just a statement to live by, or rubric to live by, would be Steve Hardison's thing that I've adopted for myself as a mental construct is no one is worthy of my judgment.
Yeah, everyone is worthy of my.
And if I'm trying to convince somebody, that means I'm judging them for being wrong. And I'm also judging myself because I have the need to be right.
Yeah. For me, it's why not? I can see your point, but I'll be like, it's just generally acceptance and accepting that we are, the interesting distinction I've learned at the advanced course of Landmark is that we all make up our own reality, and our personal, the things we test reality against, like our personal test for reality, is so different from one person to the other. So I can convince you that what I've seen is what I've seen, but it might not be that.
Right.
You might not see the same thing. Say you're colorblind. I can try to convince you that my red is green, and you will be like, no, it's it's green because you're so. As a possibility, I think it's important to just hear the other person.
And understand.
Be under, and then move on. Not try to convince.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Well, that's 12. So that was good. That was a good conversation. Thank you all for whoever joined us. Thank you. And we will. Let's see. We'll see you tomorrow morning. That'll be episode 60. Can you believe that? 60 episodes.
Wow. So it's going to be warmer.
Is it going to be warmer tomorrow? Well, no, I mean episode 60.
Oh, episode 60? Oh, yes. My.
Yes. I don't know if it'll be, it probably won't be in the 60s here for sure, but. All right. Anyway.
Number 100.
We'll see you all tomorrow sometime.
Bye.